is one of our new leaders, and he's doing a great job. Thank you, Greg. Our other leaders are Justin, myself, Tony, Jennifer, and Diana are not here, and Jordan, who runs all of our AV. So thank you guys all. Without them, this doesn't happen. Without Galvanize, this doesn't happen either. So thank you, Galvanize, for having us here. Woohoo! And tonight's pretty awesome. Two of our speakers have actually gone through the Galvanize data science track. So I'm really excited for all of you guys to see some of the work that's coming out of Galvanize. I'm sure it's going to blow you away because every once in a while they talk and I'm like, wait, what did you say? What does that mean? All right. We talk and get together and hang out online other times besides once a month when we get together here for beer. So if you'd like to join our Slack channel, give me an email at uxtony@gmail.com. Take a picture of this slide. We also have a LinkedIn group, if you will, help people find jobs and get together and get advice and all of that good stuff. And Twitter, because who's not on Twitter anymore? So tonight, take pics. I tweet at Analyze Boulder. Oh no, do we have someone here not on Twitter? Did I just call you out? Sorry. Okay, who's not playing Pokemon? Wow, whoa! Oh my God, that was so many hands. I'm playing Pokemon. So, if you guys have been coming here a while, you know that we have awesome beer every single month. But we had a grant for that for a long time, and we run out of the grant. So here's my plea to have you guys give us a little bit of money to pay for some beer. If you want to keep the beer flowing, take a picture of that slide if you want to help us out. If not, I get it. Uh-oh. Thank you. Woo-hoo. All right, so this is my favorite part of the intro. Jobs. Who's got jobs? Actually, let me have our beloved new Greg run around.
Rick Brennan, I'm starting a video company using supervised and unsupervised machine learning techniques to provide data sets for outcomes. We got developers in the company who really need some experts in machine learning. You're an expert in machine learning.
You're in the right place.
Hi, my name is Jeff Ward, and I'm the CEO of Legal Analytics, a startup that's been around a while, but more recently focused on ag tech. We run the Slide Accelerator and building the seed farm, and it's across the industry by buying over crops and drones and aircraft. The largest producer, fresh cut eggs in California, and so we can come out.
Awesome. Any chance were you here in June for our talk? Oh, you're going to have to catch up on it. No. We had a guy that was doing some vision learning stuff too. I'm gonna plug you into that guy. Yeah. Let's hear about these other jobs. Dean.
Hey, one time, first time recruiter.
And Jacob, I was still trying to go to my market business here. Market takes a different approach than past. We are about to shut down next week. Friday here, what I'm actually looking for is an expert market operations. Recently, I've been love to hire him, but he's not available, so you need to understand market automation really well. I should go back and do some check. So if you want to finish with Jacob, ask my
Boomtown puts on a fantastic demo night. If you guys are interested, it's on Eventbrite. It's free. Last chance for jobs?
I got one.
Justin has a job.
Justin Rosenthal, long-time attendee. First time job opening, SnappySoft, SNAPI.com. We are hiring a .NET developer. He's pretty entry level. We've got a pro speed. Email me at justin@snappysoft.com. Go to our website. That will roll out to like that product. Get your deep web and that product coming.
All right, I'll take the last chance spot. I just started working for investability.com. We are hiring a whole bunch of developers, front-end, back-end, QA, and designers. And I hear that being designers that they're looking for next. So next up is events. I know we have a special event right here, so I'm just going to pass the mic.
Hello, my name is Taryn Heilman. I've been to a couple Analyze Boulder events. Not too often, this is about my third time. I am a project manager for a group called Analyze Boulder, but I am also one of the lead organizers for the first annual Rocky Mountain DataCon, which is happening November 10th and 11th. Some of you might have heard of it, some of you might not have. It's at RockyMountainDataCon.com. I'll be here all night if you have questions. We're looking for sponsors, speakers, people interested in participating in that.
All right, I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't know it was Rocky Mountain Data Contest. Thank you. Any other announcements? Hackathons, meetup? Wait for the mic, please. Sorry, you've got people online.
My name is Ryan. I work for look at what happened.
Awesome. Last chance. Wait, there's one in the back.
International Data Week is going to be in Denver next month, February 11th through 17th. So if you're going to be invited to that, this is the International Data Week.
I'm so glad you brought that up. It actually slipped my mind. There is a crossover between International Data Week International Data, what is it? Okay, and Denver Startup Week. It's going to be at Galvanize, the one near Union Station, but it's going to be awesome. There's going to be beer. I just don't know what day, sorry. Almost. All right, so really quick, we're going to get the evening started. You are already here and you're welcome. First up, we're going to have Bill Anderson in a bit. Let me introduce everybody else. He's going to be talking about predictors for loan default. After that, we have Tim Tu. I hope I said your last name right. Forecasting Uber and Lyft prices, and then Taryn Heilman. Yes! I didn't even ask that beforehand, and I usually do, so yeah. And then neural network of the galaxies. And then, of course, afterwards, we're totally going to kill the tags, data style, socialize. All right, without further ado, you don't have to listen to me anymore. Bill, you're up.
Can you hear me okay in the back?
Oh.
That's okay, Greg. It's your first time.
I know. Hey. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I'm Bill Anderson, and I'm going to share some information about a project I did as a hobby using multiple models to predict defaults for Lending Club loans. As you may know, Lending Club is a peer-to-peer lending company that matches investors with borrowers. As an investor, there are a lot of loan attributes you can look at, such as employment history, bankruptcies, and so forth. One of those attributes is the loan grade. Grade A loans have the lowest interest rate, but also the lowest probability of default. Grade G loans have the highest interest rate, but also the highest probability of default. So as an investor, you have to manage that trade-off between the interest rate and the probability of default. So I looked at other public studies out there trying to build on what others had done and came up with the goal of using multiple models in R to predict bad loans within fixed loan grades. In other words, just focus on, say, grade C loans. Can I identify the loans that will go bad? If I could come up with a model or tool like that, it could be useful in the sense of, so I could identify all the grade G loans that would go bad. I could get to the high interest rates, but wouldn't have to worry about default, so it would be the best of both worlds. That was the goal anyway. I've tried to put my money where my mouth is by changing my investment strategy. Now, if you see me holding a sign on the street corner in a month or two asking for money, you'll know this is nonsense. But I don't think that was the case. That's the case. So I constructed 3 models using the R-CARE package. And I tried to choose model types that had distinctive approaches in the sense of different equations and other aspects of the approaches that were different. And shows logistic regression, gradient boost, and neural network. Started with the data sets with 155 predictors, went through a lot of data cleaning, a lot of exploratory analysis, and ended up with 8 variables that seemed to have an effect on the outcome of the loan. Those are FICO, number of credit inquiries in the past 6 months, debt-to-income ratio, the term of the loan, either 3 years or 5 years, the credit utilization, the purpose of the loan, which is supplied by the borrower, the loan description, and whether or not the income was verified. That's what I ended up with for the predictors. So here's the results of the grade C loans. I put the data into 75% training, 25% test. And so there's the results, the true positive rate. So if you're positive corresponds to a loan that goes bad. And you can see that the logistic regression is slightly better here, with able to predict about 60% of the true positives. So this data set spanned approximately 7 or 8 years. Over that time period, 25% of the C loans actually did go bad. That's just empirical data from the data set. But we can predict 60% of those. So without the model, suppose I invested in 100 loans, I might expect 25 to go bad, right? But using the model, since we can predict 60% of those, only 10 would default. So it's not perfect, but it's an improvement. Interestingly, the top 2 most important variables predicting bad loans for all the model types included inquiries in the last 6 months. So that was a predictor that came up in all the models as important. Also, 2 out of the 3 models identified FICO score as one of the top 2 most important variables. Other public studies also identified the FICO score as important. So what lessons did I learn? I learned as a lending club investor to consider the number of credit inquiries in the past 6 months and the FICO score when choosing which loans to invest in. I also learned that using multiple models to provide different ways, different ways to answer the same question with fortunately similar results. And all models are an approximation to reality, right? And usually there's not one right model. So by using multiple different models to answer the same question, I could get a greater sense of assurance that the results I was getting were a reasonable approximation of that underlying reality. And here's the URL that has reproducible code and data if you're interested. And yeah, thank you very much.
I like making Greg work out. So. Do you have the second one?
Yes, where is it?
Let me just have a couple questions shouted out. We'll start right here in front.
So I know that you're limited with how many people you have. You have a wish list or something you could produce. What key metrics would you want to know how?
So, yeah, so what other information would I want to know about borrowers? It's a good question. The data set was fairly complete with a lot of information, including things like zip code. One thing that would be interesting is this loan verification or income verification part, that's optional, and the lending club doesn't do that for very many borrowers. I think that would be very useful to have some of the information verified rather than just relying on the borrower to supply it and, maybe budgeting it. That would be useful.
Did your model output like a probability where you get to threshold to decide whether which way you want to go with it?
That's right. Yes.
Do you consider doing any model averages? You have multiple models, sometimes average results of multiple models together with several goals.
I didn't, but yeah, maybe the next step.
Santa, we miss you.
So you had 144 visitors.
Right, so it was a multi-step process. A number of the predictors just were like full of missing values, so eliminate those. Went through some other cleaning. Then did a density plot, looking at density, for the different status of the loan, to try to visually identify which predictors seem, related to the outcome of the loan. So that was the process. Then went through a collinearity process of kind of identifying which variables are correlated and eliminating, one of those, for example. So yeah, did that answer your question?
Now we get to watch Jordan work out.
I was just curious how you went about optimizing the model. Use regularization, research, neural networks, when you do that.
Yeah, so our carrot package manages some of that optimization in the sense of exploring the parameter space, right? And so for neural network, there was one hidden layer, but it explored different numbers of units in that layer, as well as the different decay values for regularization. So yeah, it did explore that in an automated fashion. Did that answer your question?
What about the other model?
Yes, likewise, the carrot package explored the parameter space for those to some degree. Trying to think. Yeah, it's a gradient boost to try different depths for the tree, different numbers of trees, that kind of thing. So it does output all of the things that all the the variations that you find. So you can, it tells you what the optimal one is. But you can also manually look through those and just look, identify the optimal one and the other parameters that's fine.
Great, thank you.
All right, let's get our last burning question. We must have a question answered.
Thanks for the talk. So you said use models to predict, decide which predictors are the predictors. I know for reading that kind of thought of management. Can you explain a little bit more what is the regression and the network?
Yeah, so the R packages have that built in. The way it works for logistic regression is they're looking at the size of the coefficients as well as the p-value for each coefficient. So a high coefficient, low p-value corresponds to an important variable. In the case of neural networks, likewise, the R package does provide that information. As far as I can tell, there's a little bit of disagreement about whether one can really extract variable importance from neural networks, at least in some cases. So the R package uses weights that are, part of the neural network to determine the variable importance. But as far as I can tell, there's some disagreement about that. So if someone else knows more, please chime in. But that was what I did.
Thank you, Bill. Here in the back. Up next, we have can too.
Can everyone hear me? Okay, hopefully this is not too far. So hi, I'm Tim. I went through the Galvanize Immersive not too long ago with Taryn, and I thought I just saw Mike go through, and I actually got, oh, there he is. I'm going to be actually working at Verizon pretty soon, so really happy that I went through the program. So today I'm going to be talking to you about my capstone project that I went through, which is, I named it Rideshare Air, but it's basically forecasting Uber and Lyft prices. So how did I come up with this idea? So if I move your attention to this left, this is actually what happened to me. I was taking a trip from downtown Denver to the airport, and this is where the driver led me. So do you guys see that spot back there? That's actually behind the airport. I think he thought that the entrance to the airport was back there. So this entire time I was thinking to myself, man, maybe I had a plan ahead, or I knew what the prices were. Maybe I would have avoided this situation at all. So in terms of the methodology, I took the data from both the Uber and Lyft API, and I wanted a minute-to-minute interval of the data. So I launched an EC2 instance where I gathered the data, persistent, and then I started on a MongoDB database. Then I fed it through, I did a lot of parsing and EDA analysis, and then I fed it through several machine learning algorithms, then ultimately deployed it on an app built on Vocal and Flask. So one of the first steps you want to do when you're doing a time series analysis is to look at what the patterns are. So if you look at the top, you see the observed prices, and then breaking down, you see the trends and what the seasonal patterns are, and then leftover residuals. So if people are actually around during March 17th and 24th, can you guys see those spikes? Can you tell me what you think happened during that time? Snowstorm, exactly. So that's why, around that time, obviously Uber drivers aren't going to be out there wanting to give rides because it was just all piled up with snow. So one of the first things I had to do was to figure out how was I going to, forecast. Was I going to do daily? First, I thought daily might have been a good idea, but after a lot more EDA analysis, I was able to capture a weekly trend. So what you're seeing right here is basically 5 weeks overlaid with each other. So I wanted to do a time series cross validation based on forecasting weekly prices based on previous week's prices. So here is actually updated. I updated my models, and what you see here is 2 weeks ago what my forecast is. So these are my models, and that icon is blocking it, so you don't see what it is. But my random forest model. Yeah, sure. If I can get the mouse to see, maybe you can help me out.
How is there no mouse?
Here, yeah. Thank you. That's better.
Sorry.
That's okay. Now you can see what my models actually represent, and not just blank anymore. So what I'm going to show you now is the actual data that was real-time capture that I have on my app that was forecast for that specific week. So I built my models beforehand, and then what you see is the data or the average prices that were for UberX in New York from that time point. And here's Lyft. No more animation, but you can see on average it's capturing what the prices are, but there are spikes, such as events or weather events that my model doesn't have in terms of this feature space to capture those events. So it probably won't forecast those areas very well. So right here, what you see is the average prices between UberX and Lyft. So let's say you were taking a ride during this time. What do you think would have been a better option? Yeah, if it's not clear to you, I'm going to show you this, and then, oh, I don't know why that didn't appear. Oh, there it is, perfect. So what you're seeing right here is the average price estimate, and so if the bars are higher, that means that the Lyft was significantly lower in price during that hour, during that day. So you definitely would have been better taking a Lyft instead of an Uber at that time point. So I have an app, I won't demo it because I think I'm running out of time. But it's on rideshare.com. I have a link to it at the end. And you can just see what the forecasted prices are. So my future steps would be to ultimately build a recommendation. It's like a pseudo recommendation, but basically tell you if you should take an Uber or a Lyft or maybe some other ground transportation that would be most optimal for you at a given hour at a given time. So that's my presentation. I'll take any questions. Oh, one last note. I had this really funny thing where I was doing some media analysis in Seattle, and I was like, why is there this huge spike? Yeah, it was a Bieber concert. Anyways. He is. He totally is. So.
All right, question. What? No way. Did Bieber scare you away?
Maybe. Bieber fever.
Yeah, so one of mine, or something like this, how do you go about finding one?
Exactly. So the question was, how did I find all these anomalies, like, let's say, like a snowstorm? So, yeah, literally, I was like, okay, well, this wasn't trending in the weeks before, so I was basically Googling, like, oh, was there a snowstorm here? I just, like, looked up the news, and that's how I sort of pinpointed it. I don't know if all the time Google would be the correct answer, but it was definitely a good source.
We'll take your
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no.
I know people, you talked a little bit about your cross validation technique, that's obviously good. And then can you talk a little bit about the amount of time that you had to build your model, and how much data you have collected in order to make your forecast?
Thanks, Josh. So he's my instructor, so he's asking me the hard questions. So he knows intimately, but basically we had to build a custom time series cross-validation. It's not built into any of the packages, so I sort of had to write it myself. But basically, because I knew I was going to do it on a weekly basis, I had my code or my script basically be able to have lags and ahead. So I would test like, oh, okay, I'm going to train on the 2 weeks before and then predict on the next week and see how it does. Or maybe I'll take the previous week and predict 3 weeks into the futures. And ultimately, I found that using the previous week's data to predict the next week was the best. And the second question was the timeline, right? So obviously we didn't have a lot of time. If you know anything about the MERS, we give students about like 2.5 weeks to do this. I actually started collecting my data like week 2 of the program, so I had a lot more time. Because ultimately the project was to forecast prices in the future. So if I had like previous Uber and Lyft prices, it wouldn't make any sense. Who cares about those prices, right? So I had about like maybe 6 to 7 weeks of data, but it was enough for me to create a decent model.
I sort of follow up questions is there information you think can help you with the power, like for instance, knowing that, oh, most people are going to this zip code, which is where the consumer content is, or they're going, to Port Authority sales during the game.
So the question was, like, was there any other features or things I could capture that would help my models, basically? And yes, I did look into, like, seeing if I could get a year-long calendar full of events, in Denver. Basically, I didn't mention this, but I only took 5 cities because there's limits to, the APIs. You can only have 1,000 calls within an hour. So I had to, like, limit my search to make a robust model. But basically, I think that if I had weather forecast, which I did try to get, but it didn't have the resolution that I needed. It needed like a minute-to-minute resolution, and they only give me 2 weeks worth of forecast, and I needed a week's worth of forecast, so that wouldn't work for me.
Last question. You guys.
So during the anomalies where you were but when you look at the anomalies that predict during the anomaly versus how long you have to wait.
So the question is, like, during the anomalies, did I look into it further to see what was going on?
Not so much cause anomalies, but for the snowstorm, for example, it's a long day, and so it would be useful, 20 weeks, hours.
Yeah,
or closing on.
So I don't think I looked into it that far, like maybe figuring out when would be the best time to, again, take over because of these anomalies. But that would definitely be a good feature to include in my model.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Up next, we have Taryn Heilman. I'm the neural network of galaxies. Hi, I'm Taryn. I also came out of the Galvanize program with Tim, and prior to that, I was in graduate school for astrophysics, so I decided to do a space project. I did use computer vision to classify galaxies into their world. So just a quick note on this problem. This is something that's been puzzling astronomers for hundreds of years. Understanding what types of galaxies exist at different times as you look back in the universe helps you understand what the universe used to look like, what it looks like now, how it's going to evolve, what the competition is. This is a really important scientific question. Historically, this was a problem that was tackled by slave labor for students. Around the year 2000, the first large-scale sky survey started coming out, and this problem quickly became a little bit unsaleable. You could no longer make your grad students do this by hand. So first thing that scientists came up with was something called crowdsourcing. I don't know if anybody's familiar with the Galaxy Zoo. Yeah, see a couple of hands here. So how that works is that civilian scientists go online, they can classify galaxies by hand, the grad students did. They're putting down some samples. They also input some fake data into it to sort of make sure that the civilian scientists are doing what they're supposed to do. They do pretty well, almost as well as grad students in the aggregate. That's good. However, there's going to be a new telescope any day now that is going to provide just orders of magnitude more data, and so now this is unscalable even by civilian scientists, so astronomers will look for another method, and that method is probably going to be neural networks. So what I did, I crowdsourced, I scraped the crowdsourced data, metadata for 450,000 galaxies from this one digital sky survey catalog archive. I did some cleaning in pandas. I kind of omitted hedge classes, and since I was building a classifier, which is a little different than what a lot of the other works have done, I wanted only galaxies that civilian scientists were really confident went into certain classes. So once I did that, I narrowed it down to 380,000 images. These are 120 by 120 pixels. I did some pre-processing in NumPy and expected image. You can know all about that later, but I don't want to waste too much time on that. And then I trained a neural network on a final set of about 104,000 images, and I did this using the Keras package on AWS. Okay, these are the 4 galaxy classes that I was trying to classify. Remember this, there will be a quiz in like 2 slides. We have edge on disk, and based on spirals, you can see those are actually not scientifically distinct, but they are very visually distinct. So for the purposes of computer vision, they have to be separate. They're elliptical galaxies, and they're mergers. Mergers are a super minority class. They occur less than 1% of the time on average. And to give you a further idea of how difficult this problem is, these are all also pictures of mergers. You can see they look very different, and they consist of a combination of one or more of the above classes. So mergers were the biggest issue that I faced in trying to get this neural network to work. Here's the neural network architecture. 4 convolutional layers, 4 dense layers. I did some math schooling. That's all I'm going to say about that. Feel free to ask me more later. This is boring. So I'm going to go through a cartoon example, which is hopefully a little bit more fun. This is Andromeda. What kind of galaxy do we think Andromeda is? Spiral! Yay! Those are awesome. Okay, so this pretty image that you see here is not actually the kind of image the neural network saw. If you look at the top left corner here, you have the down-sampled image, which is 120 by 120, so it's kind of ugly. Each image being trained was randomly transformed, cropped, recentered a little bit. They go to convolutional layers, and then they go through the dense layers, and then out pops some probability. And my neural network, in the end, thinks there is 98.4% chance that this is based on spirals, so awesome. At least in one case, it worked. Overall, model result here for the validation set, which was 20% of the original data set before I augmented classes, did pretty well. I have 91% average recall, 95% average precision. I know you see one really low bar there that you're maybe wondering about. I don't know if you guys can see the numbers. That is the merger class. there was only 9 items in that test set. So what happens is that even the best model I came up with tended to overclassify mergers a little bit. So you're going to see low precision there because it actually classified 8 out of 9 correctly as mergers, but it threw in like 100 or so spirals. So low precision, what do you do? So the next steps would be to use this model to predict on images with either no crowdsourced consensus or things that the crowd was less sure about, and see if my model comes up with maybe similar percentages of probability or if it's more certain. And to investigate the correlation between how well the model does compared to how many civilian scientists have viewed each image, and also to, once the models get really perfected, to use them to scan completely unlabeled large sky survey images to identify and count galaxies. So,
I told you galvanized did good work. You guys are awesome. Let's start from the front.
Yeah, sorry.
Is there any possibility of potentially including other types of galaxies before the types of galaxies? Like, where it goes into like dark spirals or like mergers between a lot of different things?
So, I mean, in a large-scale survey that's looking deep in the universe, I don't know that you see a lot of, like, dwarf galaxies or what comes to mind when I think of other types of galaxies, because that's 90% of everything. But if you know anything about astronomy, you know that you're not going to see those at view 10. So, probably not.
I have a question about the page, the position, and the cost comparison. Oops. So my question basically is, what's the part we method to use for and is there any darker expectation?
So in this case, it's not really a question of threshold because you're going to take the maximum assignment. So if you look at, this is what ultimately comes out of the model. So you're going to take the ones that have the maximum probability. So it's not a threshold question for multi-count. Does that make sense? So we picked spiral for this one because spiral has the highest probability.
Super. How did you
Okay, yeah, sure. So I read some papers, one that was done classifying land masses, and then one that was actually done by the Galaxies Year Project, and so that was my starting place. And I ended up needing to make my net a little deeper, and we did this over 2 weeks, and anybody who's with me can tell you, I was up all night for 2 weeks just spinning nets and trying to narrow down the best architecture. So a lot of it was guessing.
were there any sort of tricks that were really helpful about that organization?
Yeah, I use dropout in all of my test layers, 50%, and it's pretty well. It always predicted on the test class better than the training class. So,
Yeah, 2 more questions.
Did you do any segmentation?
they do.
like sort of like.
I don't really understand the question. I guess I got the label from the Galaxy project.
Did you do any pre-class? Pre-class.
No, because I was building a classifier rather than a feature identifier, which is generally my approach is. I filtered my metadata to only include galaxies that people were pretty sure belonged to the class. So I didn't like do any pre-built something around network. Clean metadata. Does that answer your question? So for those online, we just found out that the microphone in the back is hard to hear up front, just like we knew that the microphone in the front is hard to hear in the back. Let's have this one be our last one. All right.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So given that inversions are the hardest one to hand off to the lyrics, you can have so many of the students say some of the practices of the inversions.
You absolutely could. I think that given what I actually saw my model come up with, it's only a 20% probability of merger or something else because it's tended to really overclassify mergers. But yeah, I think that would totally work. What's more likely to happen is that these images, I've looked at this further, things that the net is not really sure about, humans are not too sure about either. Last question.
I was wondering in your transforms that you use relational transformations to keep everything horizontally oriented.
Space is, you can kind of space from every angle. So in my pre-processing, I took each image and I augmented the classes. I kind of put more mergers into the training set so that the net would learn how to recognize what was my party class. And each image underwent a random, either rotated or transposed and then translated across, and that was all randomized. So that was to make the network more robust. And I pretty much did rotation all the way, every combination transposing to space, so there's 100% of any sort of orientation. Awesome. Thank you, Taryn. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. We love seeing you at least once a month. Keep talking to us and enjoy the rest of the evening. We have the